Okay. So,
I clicked got it when it said the recording was in process. So
you um good, good. Okay. What does that mean? Does that mean you have a copy too, or
no, I authorized
oh,
you to
okay.
record me.
Um
I'm aware of that and yeah, whatnot.
um so yeah, this is the quite a start. We start off the episode with me and Jeremy talking about the recording. Um so this is
Yeah,
episode 8.
yes. I
This
couldn't
is
get my audio working, and then I assisted Rob in placing his microphone. So
yeah,
great start.
we did some
We fumbled around a lot. It was
troubleshooting. We
yeah,
did
yeah.
some early troubleshooting.
Yes.
Um so this is my old friend Jeremy Hammer, not from the movie theater. People will probably be like, "Oh, finally somebody not from the movie theater."
Am I the first one not from there?
No, my friend Nick is was not
All
from the
right.
movie theater. Um, so uh, so Jeremy, you want to take it away and if you remember how we met or how we know each other?
Yeah, I remember well how we met. So I worked at a convenience store in Thurston County of Washington, outside Olympia to the north, uh, doing a cashier thing. Worked there for about 3.5 years. And one day, Rob came in as a customer. I was wearing a Mudhoney shirt, Foo Fighters shirt, some band.
It was Mud Honey.
Yeah, you started talking about music. I'm like, yeah, yeah. And then you just came in like every day I was working for the weeks because you lived right beside it and you were all the time anyway. Eventually said I should. You found out I played music. That's what it was, and you're like, we should jam sometime. And so after work one day, I walked over to your place and started playing music. I could barely play drums, and I kind of learned to play drums at your place. And then I remember the funny story. The first time I was there, you were asking me about bands, and I was like, I don't know about this guy. Like, we ended up liking all pretty much the same stuff. But you asked me what my favorite band was, and I said Aerosmith. And you're just like, what?
I don't
Just like
remember that
just completely caught
Aerosmith.
off guard. Yeah, like had a Pearl Jam shirt or something on at the time. You're just like I think you were like sitting on that couch that used to be in the garage, that leather one with all like the knife holes in it, and you're
Oh,
looking through
jeez.
like your stack of CDs, and you just like stopped and looked up like,
Were you being serious or were you messing with me?
I liked a few Aerosmith songs, and then you like you paused for a bit, and then you brought up a bunch of Aerosmith albums, and I was like, I don't know the album names, so I just know like 15 of their songs.
Yeah, I liked their first couple
There's
albums. I really
Toys in the
liked.
Attic. That's the album title
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
yeah. Toys in the Attic. I think that
I don't know what songs are on that album.
yeah, I remember us yeah, talking about Pearl Jam, talking about we immediately kind of bonded over music and basketball.
Yeah, basketball. Once you got the hoop there, both our teams were really bad. We both had teams at the time.
Just true. Back in the days when the
Yeah,
Sonics existed.
yeah. When the Sonics existed, yeah, you gave me a lot of crap about the draft picks that the Sonics have been taking. Just the
Oh yeah, what was it?
completely immobile centers.
Yeah,
Robert Swift was the one the year before, and then it must have been like the fall when we met. I feel like because the draft was, or
it
no,
was fall
spring.
of 2005.
Okay, yeah, because me and the other guy were really excited about whoever. I mean, it was Robert Swift was hurt, so the Sonics had, I think it was Johan Petro, who was like
Yeah, yeah.
even worse and just as bad. And then the next draft they drafted Mohamed Sene, who was like the worst of them all. But then the following year they drafted well, the lottery happened and Portland got one and Sonics got two, and unfortunately the Blazers picked Greg Oden, the Sonics picked Kevin Durant, but then moved, so didn't really get to see any of that.
Yeah, I remember because I remember talking to you a lot building up to the 2006 draft. We would just make up players that we wanted the other team to pick. Like
Yeah, it was always Adam Morrison and Joakim Noah. and one of them
Yeah.
actually ended up being good. So
Was Noah in the '06 draft? I thought he was in the '07 one.
no, he was in that one. I'm pretty sure.
Because wasn't he, well he didn't he play against
Uh,
Greg Oden in the national championship game
Oh
in
yeah.
'07?
So that was the second year we kept saying that they were gonna trade down and get
Yeah, it must have
Joakim
been
Noah
it.
instead. Yeah, yeah.
And then we were both super stoked. I remember calling you or you called me or whatever when Portland and Seattle had the top two picks.
You came into the store and told me that they got the number two, and I didn't believe you until I went home and
Oh,
looked
was
it up.
that it?
Yeah, I was like, no, 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 you're lying. Get out of here.
Shit. Um,
Like I like informally kicked you out of the store that day or something. It's like this guy's got to go. Get out.
dude, yeah, I remember going to that Shell station all the time. I remember going up there and buying beer all the time at that store. And
Yeah, I remember it actually happened several times. People come in really drunk and ask us. You were like, hey, what movie should I rent? And I was like, I don't know, Jason X. So we had
yeah,
movie
I
rentals
rented
and
Jason
malt
X.
liquor and beer. Yeah, you came in the next day and you're like, why? Why did you do that to me? And then there's another time uh, you're like, I need a snack. What should I get? And I suggested those the Laura bars, the ones like made for women specifically. Have like, I don't know if that we thought they had estrogen in them or something. And you bought those, and then you thought they were pretty good.
Did I actually bought those?
Yeah.
Dude, there I remember it was not a good era. I remember drinking a lot, like eating a lot of crappy food. I remember like buying like uh what was it? I'd come in and get like frozen pizzas or I'd get like a
Mm-hmm.
box of mashed potatoes or something. Like
Yeah,
I
the
would get like
instant mashed potatoes and instant gravy.
you remember
I think I gave you a deal on each of those too. So they'll give you a 2 for 1 because it's funny to me.
yeah, I remember you doing stuff like that. And then there was like this one customer that you said reminded you of me and you pointed him out one day and I just was like, no, 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 no. I had to change my ways because I was like, yeah, um, that was a cool house. I mean,
Wasn't that? I thought that guy pointed out was like some dude that walked down the street all the time.
yeah,
I
but
was
he
like,
had
yeah,
like
yeah, I
long,
think it's you every time I see him. And then you
yeah,
actually
and
saw
I
the
just
guy. You're
remember
like,
he
what?
had long hair, very similar to me. I
Like he
was,
weighed like twice as much though. It was,
yeah, he was bigger than me, but I was still like,
and did he
it
also have a
was not during
scooter?
my skinny era,
Did
huh?
he have a scooter wheelchair too?
No, but he would have all these like snacks and he wouldn't have them like he would be holding
Mm,
them. Like he'd have all
yep,
these boxes of Little Debbie stuff and like a
yep.
2 liter of soda. And I remember like seeing that guy and I go, dude,
Yeah,
that guy's not doing very good.
the scooter wheelchair guy was the guy who would buy the Tilt energy drink malt liquor stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he would basically take any vehicle he could find to get to the store. He lived a bit further down than you, maybe like a quarter mile away from you. So it was uh, but I saw him show up on an ATV, a lawnmower, like scooter type of maybe like an electrified wheelchair, motorhome. But then he told me he used to drink 8 to 12 tilts a day, every day. So everybody there was like, "Whoa, this guy's like the gnarliest person ever." And then they stopped making it, and then he had to switch to like Steel Reserve, and he just drank just as much as that. So he was, kind of inspiring
I
in a
remember my
way.
days of going from Sparks to Tilts and then very briefly Four Locos. Um,
Yeah.
not good years, not good years.
So
Um,
at the slightly off topic, but not really. At the UW football tailgates that we have,
mhm.
uh, I bring Four Locos to every single game and throw them in the cooler that we have. And we found a Four Loco flag because all the bunch of tailgates have like flag poles so that people can find them.
Mhm.
And everybody would has like a UW flag or something that everybody else has. But we found the Four Loco flag, and so that's the one we fly above our tailgate. So that's how people find us. Is tell people to look for the Four Loco flag in the parking lot. So that's football games,
Don't
Husky games.
don't me and you have like a Four Loco story?
You and your brother were drinking them a bunch when I went down to Portland for that Blazers
Yeah.
game.
But wasn't it something like when you showed up, you were like didn't you bring Four Locos
No, I'd
with
never
you?
had one before.
But it was like something having to do with like me and my brother were joking about him a lot, and then when you showed up,
Yeah,
you
I think I brought
expected it.
some.
You expected to like try one and hang out with us because you just thought we were drinking them all the time, but we weren't actually
Oh
drinking them
yeah,
all the
yeah,
time.
yeah. You guys didn't have any, and so I was like, "What? Come on, guys!"
Yeah.
And on the way home from the Blazers game, we bought some.
Oh yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
we bought a bunch of them too because I had at least two, and then I was like sitting on their couch, drunk out of my mind, listening to Silverchair on repeat.
Yeah, you kept putting on
The
Silverchair.
video. And I remember your sister like just showed up, and then she sat by me, and she's like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "Oh, Silverchair." And the video went through it, and then I started it over, and she's kind of like, "What the hell?" And then like five more times I did that, and she's like, "I got to get out of here."
What were you playing? Israel's Son?
No, it was some live video from the 1995 or 96 Bizarre Festival. I don't remember the song. Uh, I'll look it up someday, but it was it wasn't one of like their top two or three famous songs,
Mm-hmm.
but it was on that first album that they had. Uh,
Silverchair.
it'll come to me eventually. I might have
Silverchair
also
was
been listening to Lady Gaga too. There's some videos I was watching of that. I was just like watching only two videos for like 3 hours.
yeah, that sounds about right. Did wasn't that didn't you take a picture of me while I was passed out on the ground?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and I think you yelled at me too. You're like sleeping, and then you just woke up randomly like, if I hear that goddamn Silverchair song one more time, I was like, ah, shut up, Rob.
Yeah, dude. So, um, yeah, so we became friends when I was moved up to Olympia and going up to that the store you worked at.
Mhm.
Um, and then we started hanging out and then started playing basketball when I got a hoop at that house I was living in.
Yep.
Dude, the house was really cool in terms of having to dude, I might just take this. I might switch my audio real quick.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sorry.
All good.
It's kind of fucking with me. Everything. I feel like I'm in an aquarium when I'm talking.
Oh yeah, because you can't hear yourself. Zoom really needs a monitor function. I notice it doesn't have that.
Okay. Let me see if we can hear you.
All right, we are back.
Okay, yeah, that's easier.
All right, perfect.
For some reason, it was just making me feel like I'm in an aquarium. Um, but yeah, that house had such a cool setup of musical stuff.
Yeah, you had all there's a really old drum set, the organ that was there too.
The organ we bought, me and my other two roommates, we all pitched in and bought an organ our first week, or for the first day, I think, because it was we still had the U-Haul truck or whatever.
Yeah,
We were like, let's go see what we could else we could buy. Um, and then yeah, drum set, keyboard. Dude, there was like
there's a lot of random guitar amps too. I remember.
yeah, ukulele. Like it was like everything. And we had
Yeah,
those was it two black couches I had out there?
yeah, because I remember we took those to Goodwill eventually,
Oh yeah.
or one of they only took one of them. The other one just sat in my parents' carport for like a year.
Yeah.
It was a nice spot for it though.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to remember. It was such a cool setup. I really wished I would have, had that place longer.
Yeah,
Um, and then I moved away, and then I think I moved back and forth from Olympia like six times over the next what 15 years or so.
decade.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, you were always either in Portland, Vancouver area, or Olympia.
Yeah, well, I did move out to Hoquiam once, and then I moved down to Fraser Park, California for a little bit.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, those are.
also Henderson, Nevada for a little bit. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. Um,
Yeah, who nobody lives there.
But I remember yeah, just keeping in touch with you whenever I was in town. Um, we like played music together. I think we were in the same band for about 2 weeks, and then that ended. We argued over, I
Yeah,
think, lyrics or something.
no, we didn't have a bass player, I guess. So I made you play
Yeah,
bass,
it was like
and
you
you
wanted
didn't
me to
want to
play.
play bass
I was like, dude, I'm writing the songs. Like,
because
I don't want to.
me and the other guy could play guitar really good, and we had a drummer.
Was it Zach?
Yeah, Zach, and you weren't good at guitar, and so we
Yeah,
were just like, yeah, just play bass, whatever. And they're like, no, I don't want to manage my songs. Like we sound so good though.
yeah.
And
You
then you
guys were
played
better
that.
than me, but I was just like,
Yeah, you
fuck.
played that guitar with the bass pickup in it for a while, like as a halfway point because we needed the low end
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, I wish we would have recorded some of that stuff because it was. I remember it being really cool.
You know, I got a song stuck in my head the other day, and I remember the melody, but I was like, dude, this is a song I played with Jeremy a long fucking time
But
ago.
babies in the canyon.
No, 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 Babies in the Canyon. Uh,
I do have a recording somewhere of that one that we redid.
yeah.
Maybe I still might be on some old hard drive.
Yeah,
I know.
Babies in the Canyon was a song I wrote just
Yeah, I know we
randomly.
multi-tracked it, and I got really drunk when I did vocals for it. I remember that.
You remember the story about why I
Yeah, yeah,
originally
yeah,
wrote it,
yeah.
right?
You and your brother. You no, you wrote it
For yeah,
about your brother or for your brother or something.
yeah, we were like, I think I can't remember if I was like 19 or 20 or something, and he was like 12. And I was like just messing around guitar, and I go, dude, I wrote a song about you. And he was like, really? And I played it, and it was just like it's played very seriously, and then the chorus starts saying something about there's babies in the canyon. And it just makes no fucking sense. And he was like, how was that about me? And I just was just the typical shit I would randomly say to my brother to fuck them. Um,
Yeah, I that band out of I've had a lot of bands that never really took off. Where
mhm.
it's just like we had a cool idea and then we practiced a few times, and that yeah, it's probably the second best of those, I'd say. But
What the
the
song?
one
Or?
no, that's just that band that we kind of got
Oh,
an
me
idea
and you?
for. Yeah, me,
Yeah,
you, Zach, and Derek. That's who it was.
dude.
Derek's been
Yeah.
Derek's been in the top two of those bands. I thought the best part though was when like before practice when we were waiting for Zach to get off work, we were just like driving around, going to like Subway and saying like, "Hey, we should order a beer here or something." Just saying
Order.
like dumb wannabe rock star stuff.
Yeah. I remember I was thinking about this before I did this, decided to do an interview with you. I was like, Jeremy might have some of the most embarrassing stories of me because there's a lot of, you know, my whole time in Olympia, I was like very,
Just one big embarrassment.
dude, I just remember being like a lot of that era. I think I was just drinking a lot and I was very
Yes.
like moody and um yeah, I just kind of wanted to do something with music. But there's a lot of times where like I remember we went to what bar was it where I was sneaking in beers?
Oh, that was the voyeur.
It was the Voyeur?
That's where we brought the Four Loco in.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that now.
Yeah, and
Uh,
you poured it in like you were drinking it out of a glass, and the bartender was like he like side eyed you and the drink, and then he looked at the beer that I had brought in. It was like a Rainier or something. He's like, "Hey, we don't have those here," and he like took it from me and threw it away. But he left the drink that like clearly they didn't have there that you had.
because I snuck it in and then I had it. I had it like under the table, kind of hidden, and I would pull it out and pour it in my beer glass because I drank the beer I got there real quick, and then
Yeah,
it was obviously a different color. It was like a purple color or something,
it
and
was
the
like
guy was,
fluorescent green.
what was it?
Yeah.
And he just I was really
I
drunk, and I
I think I
remember.
have an old picture of that somewhere because that was after we went to try to watch the Fabulous Downey Brothers play at a house. I think that was it. And that show got shut down, and they said they were going to
Oh,
play at the
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Voyeur, and so we went there. And then the girl I was dating that was like super crazy was also like around, and she was trying to get me to go to whatever bar she was at, but I didn't want to because we were like we broke up like a day later. So it was like basically over then anyway.
Didn't I go sleep in your car that night for a while?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like trying to put
Yeah. I
together.
think it was when I eventually went to the bar that she was at. You were like just wasted and didn't want to go anywhere, so you just left in my car.
Jeez. It's weird how I know downtown Olympia like a lot better than I know like downtown Vancouver or Portland, even though like I'm from, Vancouver. Um,
Well, those other downtowns are a lot more spread out. Olympia's is just really compact, like four or
yeah,
five
it's like
blocks.
yeah, just a couple blocks and you're just rotating around,
Yeah.
bar hopping. Um, geez. I'm trying to think of because I remember us
Was that was probably around the time when me and people were at Jake's dancing,
remember
and you were there, and you were like,
I
I was
got
like, oh
was that
hey
when I
Ralph,
got kicked out of Jake's?
yeah, and then you got kicked out for looking sad,
Yeah, yeah. I was at Jake's with some friends.
and then you just like sat at the bar,
They were
and you didn't
dancing and
I didn't even,
I was sitting at the booth and this girl comes over to talk to me and she's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm all right, blah, blah. And then she's like, "You don't look like you're having fun." And I go, "Huh?" And I go, "No, no." I go, "I'm just kind of a little bit tired. My friends are dancing. I don't really dance." And she goes, "Well, you don't look like you're having fun." And I kind of was like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I don't mean to look like that. It's just kind of." And then she goes, "Yeah, we don't like people here that look like they're not having fun. So if you could leave, we'd appreciate it." And I got this look on my face. I was like, "Well, you want me to leave?" Because, and she goes, "Yeah, we would prefer." I mean, I realized she was an employee, and then I was like, "Okay, then I guess I'm just." And then I just went outside and sat on the curb. And then my friends couldn't find me, and they
well,
texted me.
I think you called me right after that. You're like, hey, come
Yeah,
outside, and I was like, okay, whatever. You're like,
you know
I
what
got kicked out. I
you
thought
know
it
what
was
I
like, what are you drunk or something? You're like, no. You said I looked sad.
um. Oh, what was it? Wasn't it? I thought about it a later time, like, or later on. I was thinking about that night. Was that was the same night when I uh slapped what's his name you were there with? Oh my God, what's his name? Not Watson, is
Any?
it?
Yeah, maybe Watson.
Yeah, it was Watson. Like I did
Yeah,
a play slap and like
yeah.
how I used
You
to do that where
glared at him, then slapped him.
yeah, and I kind of thought later, much
Or
later, I thought
it might have been Steve.
no, it wasn't Steve. It
Yeah, it
was
must have been
Watson.
Watson then.
I did have a weird incident with Steve though at a different bar when I was really drunk. You remember when I thought he was like I was so drunk I thought he was being an ass to me
He probably
and
was.
well, he said something and I completely misread it. I thought he was like being a dick to me, and then I kind of said something to him, and then I was so drunk I knocked the table over on accident. You
Ah,
remember?
yeah, I remember that.
There was that oh shit, what was that place called?
The Brotherhood, I
No, it
think.
wasn't the Brotherhood.
Yeah, okay.
It was
McCoy
shit, it might have been the Warrior. No,
or the Fourth Ave, probably the Fourth Ave. That's where Steve always was,
it was
or like the Clipper.
further. No, it was the one that was like a couple
Hannah's.
blocks. Yeah, it was Hannah's. It was Hannah's. Jeez, I haven't
Well,
heard these
nobody
names
wants to
in a long
be there
time.
anyway. So
Yeah.
I walked by there
Um.
the other day. I was down at Lake Fair on Sunday.
Uh. Dude, Lake Fair. Were you at Lake Fair when I almost got in a fight with those guys?
Mm, no, I don't think so.
Um, I was there with a couple girls, and there was this group of guys that they had the girls had set their lawn chairs down, and they were gonna watch the last fireworks for the the final night of Lake Fair,
Yeah, yeah.
and literally the whole sidewalks like clear, and this group of like 4 or 5 guys come and they stand right in front of where their lawn chairs were. And the girls were like, "Oh man, they sit there right in front of us. They're blocking us." And it was supposed to start in like 7 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So I go, "Oh, I'll say something to him. It's all good." And I walked up and I go, "Hey guys, sorry to bug you, but do you guys think you could like just take a few steps down? Because like my friends are, we're gonna watch the fireworks here, and it was, I mean, there was like nobody on the fucking in the whole area. And the guy goes, "Oh, I didn't realize they're fucking playing, blah blah blah, or it's already started." And I go, "Well, it hasn't started yet." And he goes, "Oh," and he said some shit to me, and
Yeah.
I just said like, "Okay, man, well, have a good night, whatever." And I turned around to walk away, and then one of the girls I was with got pissed and jumped up and started saying some stuff to the guy, and I was like, "What?" And I guess as I was walking away, he like said something or did something, and it pissed her off. She thought it was really rude. She was like, "Dude, you were nice to
Yeah.
them. They asked you." And so then I turned around because they said something shit to her, calling her, calling her a bitch or something. And drunk me was like, I went in the middle of the five of them and said a bunch of shit to them, and so there,
Ah.
I did the whole like, there's five of you and one of me. Are you guys gonna do something, or are you gonna like? And they wouldn't. They eventually backed down and left.
They
Surprised I
just
didn't
thought you
get.
were a crazy person or something.
Yeah. Or they thought I was disabled or something. They probably like this guy. We're not gonna mess with him. There are so many like bad stories of Olympia.
Oh
Um,
yeah, everybody does.
the this is not how I expected the interview to go. Just immediately into fucking bad stories.
Just derail.
I had all these questions set up.
Well, I started asking them. Come on.
Uh, so like God damn it, Jeremy, you just took over, man. So so yeah, when we first met, you were like, it was your first year out of high school, right?
Yeah, I
It's like,
started at the store when I was 18. So I don't
yeah,
know if it
I
was that first year I was there when you showed up. Should have been 20.
there's a 5 year gap in our age, right?
Oh, yeah, I think 37 now. 36 now.
Are you 36 or 37?
36. I turn 37 next week,
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
think.
it's 5 years. 'Cause I turn 42
Yeah.
in like 6 weeks.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that was I started no, it was actually in the spring, after spring 2005. So I was, yeah, 18 still.
yeah, because I think when we met, you were 19 and I was 24.
Okay, yeah. That makes
And
more sense.
how were you able to sell alcohol to me? Because don't you have to be 21 to sell alcohol?
Yeah.
Or is that
It's
is
a
that a
different
newer?
time. Different
Yeah,
time. We're
true,
old,
true.
you know.
Um,
I think there was supposed to be so I wasn't there had to be somebody over 21 also working, or like up at the counter when I sold it, which there never was.
yeah, you were usually by yourself.
Yeah,
Occasionally
I
there
was
was other people.
like someone would be like stocking elsewhere in the store or like drinking in the cooler or whatever. Uh,
Uh,
but yeah, no, I sold a bunch of alcohol before I was 21. Mostly
and
malt
then
liquor. People love malt liquor.
do you, here's another bad story. So, do you remember when I was like really broke and I had divided up 4 cans of green beans to last me like a week until my next payday.
Weren't those the
And
ones I found in my parents' pantry and gave you?
no, no, I don't think so. I think I
Or
had them.
no, no, what it was is you told me about that story, and so I found you more green beans because I thought it was funny.
Well, yeah, you did that, but you also came over and it was like 2 days before my payday. So I'd had just green beans for
I
five
know this is
days.
gone.
And you were like, "Hey, dude, I can't let you do this." So you give me $20, and you were like, "Man, just go get yourself some regular food." And then I bought all I did was buy alcohol and ramen. Like I bought like enough ramen for a day, and then alcohol. And you were like, "Dude, you're supposed to buy food." And I go, this will keep me good for the next 2 days."
No, I
Uh,
thought that happened because I felt bad because I showed up to your place with like a big, huge, like Safeway sandwich, and I sat on your couch and ate it in front of you.
was that it?
Yeah.
Dude, I've lived in so many different places there. That was back when I used to walk over to the Hollywood Video. And
No, that was your that apartment. It was when you stole. No, okay, yeah. The sandwich was when you were at that apartment on the west side.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
by
I
the
lived in that
Hollywood
apartment
video.
3 different times. Um,
That was the one where I got when I was super poor. I started riding my bike to downtown so I could catch the bus to go to
mhm.
college. And I rode, it was like 8 miles both ways, which is not that far, but wasn't a cyclist. But I went to your place after I got back from school. It's like rode up the hill to the west side, and
Mm-hmm.
then you and Perry were your roommate. Perry were drinking vodka, plastic bottle, 1/2 gallon style. And I was like, oh, give me some of that. And I just filled up like a pint glass with it and downed it. And then you did that too. And I think you got pretty sick and like threw up on your floor. But then I rode my bike home, and it during that ride,
I threw up on my floor.
yeah,
Dude, I didn't. Oh, I don't
the
remember
the
getting that
kitchen
sick from drinking. Like,
the kitchen floor, so it was easy to clean. But yeah, you threw up right after you drank all that, and I was like, I gotta go home. Gotta get out of here.
that sounds so tragic.
And so there was a crazy rainstorm on the way home,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually it was just the most miserable ride ever because I had like backpack on and like not waterproof clothes, and all the alcohol was soaking in the whole ride. So it was a ton of vodka, and I was living with my parents, and I got to the driveway, stopped, but I didn't put my feet on the ground for the
Mm-hmm.
bike, and so I fell over into like a mud puddle. Just laid there for a while, like gonna ride the ground, and then I got up and went inside, and my dad was still like just like watching TV, and I show up just like covered in mud, completely soaked. He's like, "What the hell happened to you?" I was like, walked to bed and fell asleep. So the next day, he's like, "What? Why were you covered in mud last night?" It's like I was drunk and forgot to put my feet down when I stopped the bike. He's just disappointed. Yeah, that was yeah your West Side place.
Yeah. The
It was that we didn't we like yeah I think I remember walking to Hollywood Video with you a few times too from there.
yeah, I would go in there. I would get drunk and then walk up to Hollywood Video, and I would find their Ninja Turtle movies and put them in the martial arts section. And they eventually caught me doing it. And they were like, "You're the one that's been doing that." And I was like, "They're martial arts movies." And then and another time oh, what the fuck was it? There was a guy there that I wasn't a big fan of. I always thought he was really snobby, and I was drunk. And I can't remember what he said to me, but then I said something like, "Yeah, you're trying to fight me or something," and like he wasn't trying to fight me. I was just making shit up. But I was like, yeah, I was just always like picking on those employees there, making crazy comments. Um,
What you got to do
I would,
everywhere.
yeah, I would always like if I walked in and they had like a Disney movie, I'd be like, I would purposely get the movie wrong, whatever they're playing. I'd be like, oh, it's one of those Japanimation movies. Yeah, I've seen these. And it got to where the staff would just roll their eyes because I'd always just um, purposely try to get stuff wrong. Uh, and then yeah, I'm trying to think of other stuff on the west side. Um, yeah, moved away, came back, moved away, came back.
Yeah,
I
you were
lived in
there
that.
three or
Huh?
four times
Oh
at
yeah,
that
yeah,
apartment.
yeah. I lived in that apartment in 2007 with Perry, and then I lived there in 2011 and 12 by myself. And then I had
I
a,
think I
and then
helped you
I
move like in and out each time too.
probably you and I
Yeah,
think my friend Brett helped me move. Um, I remember one of those times I moved. It was like I was just moving out of one of the places, and Brett came over and was drinking with me because we were moving from one apartment to another in the same complex. So you're just basically walking it over.
yeah,
And he
yeah. I
said
was involved
something
in that
about
movie.
he I had he asked me where my toilet paper was, and I think it was like at the new place or something. I can't remember, but I was like, oh, I don't know where it is at the moment. And then he left, and then like an hour or two later, I was like getting stuff or whatever. I went to the bathroom. There was he found a sock and wiped his butt with a sock and left it the bathroom. And I was like, God damn it. And I called him up and he was like, well, I was trying to hint to you. There's no toilet paper in the bathroom.
Jeez.
Yeah, dude, I had so many.
So many weirdo roommates and people around you now.
Dude, oh yeah, I had the roommate who lived under me that was convinced that he was in the apartment below me that was convinced that the government was trying to poison him.
Oh
He's-
yeah, yeah.
He was a really nice guy. He was a
Thought I
huge.
talked to that guy for a while once too.
I had him come. I tried to have a Halloween party once, and not a lot of people showed up because it was right after I just moved back to town, so I didn't really know as many people.
Yeah.
And I had got all this food, and then I was like, well, shit, I'm just gonna ask that guy downstairs if he wants to have some pizza and whatever. So he came up and had pizza, and we talked about the Beatles, and and he started telling me about the government trying to poison him, and yeah, he was a funny roommate. He would randomly do so, what like a week later or something. He wanted to repay me for the pizza, so he brought me like a pack of frozen hot dogs he got from grocery outlet that were
Ooh,
like on
yeah.
sale. And I was like, "Hey, dude, you don't have to give me that." And he was like, "No, man, I just want to help. Like you're a nice guy. You like give me pizza." And I was like,
Trying to
"Tommy,
help out, you know.
yeah." And it was yeah, kind of Olympia's a weird place. Um, I don't even
Yeah.
want to get into the roommate stories from Olympia. They're just too like they're bad to a point where people won't believe them. Like, no, he's making that shit up. He's making that up.
Isn't there one where they threw the trash bags on the roof?
No, not the trash bags on the roof. What it was?
That was in Portland, right? Or Vancouver,
No,
where they
that
were
was
hiding trash bags in the weird basement or something. I remember something
it
about
was at
that.
the Boston Harbor House
Okay.
when I first met you.
Yeah.
And, and when I first moved there, one of my okay, so we divided up, the different bills and who would put stuff in their names, and one of the roommates was supposed to put the garbage bill in their name and get it set up. In the
That's what it
first like
was.
6 weeks I lived there, the other two roommates didn't have jobs. I was working um, in Beaverton 6 days a week and then driving up for one day a week in Olympia. And so I was just like, and this was until I got a job in Olympia. I just didn't want to leave my other job, so I was trying to be responsible. So I'd come
Yeah.
up that one day and I'd be like burned out, and my food would be eaten. Any alcohol I had was a drink, and my roommates would be telling me stories about how fun their week was and all the stuff they did. And garbage started piling up, and it was getting pretty bad. And then I finally got pissed because it was like 20 bags of garbage. And so I told one of the roommates, the one that was supposed to have it in his name, like, dude, you got to take care of this, man. And like, I told him because he hadn't taken, I told him if it was a problem that was all of ours, we'd all pitch in. But
Yeah.
because it was his negligence that caused that, it's on him, you know?
Yeah.
And so next thing I know, all the bags are gone. And I just assumed it was taken care of. Um, and then a few months later, like he had to leave or was about to get kicked out, depending on if you're talking me or him. Um, and after he left, I was trying to clean up the house to find new roommates. And as I was cleaning the house, I went in the under the house where you had you would open it up and you go underneath.
Yeah, like the storm door type of things.
Yeah. And I was like, what is that smell? And there was like 15 or so bags of garbage down there that had been there for like 4 months. And it was like there was like fucking rats and stuff jumping around and shit. And I was like, I had to clean it all up. And I was just so irritated that instead of tossing them, just hit them in under the house. Um, yeah, that was
Wasn't there a roommate that threw garbage bags on the roof though? I thought that was a thing at that Vancouver house
no, I
where we
think
recorded that.
the one we recorded at.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. What you might be thinking of is another bad
Maybe that's the
story.
neighbors.
Um, I had okay. Are you thinking about the story when I threw the bush on the roof?
Probably. Probably.
God damn it! I knew this interview would go into this direction. So when I lived in California in 2004, there was an incident where um, I was drunk and got in an argument with not an argument. It was just I had kind of a little bit of a issue, like a problem with the girl I was living with,
Yeah.
and it was just me being stupid. Like like I fucked up. But anyway, I had this night where I was pissed, and I was like, why the fuck am I even down here? Why am I in here? Blah blah blah. And I was like storming around and like walking around, and I like punched the door downstairs,
Yeah.
the inside of the door, and then I went out and I punched my car a couple times, and I was just like, fuck California, fuck this place, fuck this stuff. And as I was going around like punching things and like saying fuck this, fuck that, there was a bush right outside of the like right outside of the front door. To the left was a bush that there was a yellow jacket nest in the roots of. Like they would
Yeah.
fly out. There was a ton of them. And I was like, and fuck these yellow jackets and fuck their nest. And I grabbed the bush and I pulled the whole bush up by the roots. And then I threw the bush on the roof of the two-story apartment building we were in.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was not my finest moment. And I remember the next day when I was talking to the girl about stuff, she was like, "What happened to that bush?" And I go, "Remember when I was throwing a fit last night and being an ass? I was saying fuck this, fuck that." I go, at some
Up
point,
there now.
I pointed up to the roof, and she laughed. I mean, she wasn't happy with me, but she laughed at that moment. She was like, "You threw it on the roof, huh?" Um,
Since
yeah,
I've derailed our conversation into all your crazy stories, what are some
yeah.
more of the questions you had for me?
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh, I know. I wanted to bring up your history with the Hot Rush, the
Yeah.
band you've been in. So like, how did it form? How long you been in it now?
Oh God, almost 20 years. Yeah, so it started shortly after I started playing guitar. Myself and Kenny, the singer, uh, we had some classes together in high school. Started playing music together here and there. He was in another band. He was the drummer uh, at that time. This band called Collateral, which interestingly enough, we found some old high eight tapes, and one of that band's shows was on the tapes, and so we threw that on YouTube the other week. So check that out. Um, but yeah, I was their biggest fan for a while, and then after high school, as usually happens, people move away, and so Kenny's band no longer existed, and so we started playing music together. We call ourselves. We were doing a two-piece band for a bit. Uh, both of us on guitars, and we do like electronic drums done on like computer loops or whatever. Sometimes he'd play drums. We never actually played a show with that band, but we recorded a tape that I probably have somewhere. We called the band the Guardsmen because there was we were walking around in Lacey, and there was some store like that sold suits. And had this cool sign that said the Guardsman, which was the name of the store. We thought about stealing the sign, and if we ever played a show, we'd hang it behind the band. That never happened, but so about a year after we started, we got a drummer, the original drummer Pippin, and then our friend Nathan played bass, and then started playing shows as the Hot Rush. The band name came up because the night of our first show, we were hanging out at the house where the drummer and Kenny lived, and there was a pile of stickers for mailing for stuff that's hot, and you need to hot rush it somewhere. So like the stickers that we have that we've always been giving away are just ones that are pretty readily available online for shipping purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so we eventually recorded at Evergreen State College. Back then, in 2005 and six, recording wasn't as easy as it is now. So usually you're using like the Tascam 8-track, or somebody that has this actual studio or connects to a studio, or you record at the college. So we did That first album at the college, two separate sessions. Kind of gave out CDRs to people because we were poor and cheap and weren't going to actually put any money into it. But we played a bunch of shows. Then eventually the drummer moved away. The bass player Nathan and myself made our own band called the Rainiers or Quiet Kids. We use both those names. Um, did a two-piece band. We were kind of a local H ripoff, but more metal, I suppose. We used that the guitar with the bass pickups in it. More about that later, actually. So uh, I moved away from Olympia after that. Lived in Federal Way for about a year and a half. So Nathan and myself played. Hot Rush didn't really exist, but I jammed with Kenny here and there. And then I moved back to Olympia after my job up there ended, and me and Nathan were still playing music, but it was kind of winding down. When we would practice, we'd end up just playing like catch most of the time, like throw a baseball around. Um, like his stuff in his life was kind of changing. Um, well, actually, the band's kind of so Hot Rush restarted because I bought a mixer, recording mixer, a Fostex 128 something or other. Still have it somewhere, but it's a 16 track digital style thing. And me and Kenny got together and we were started out. We were like, hey, let's record some old songs or whatever. What? No. So backing up, we had recorded some old songs with a Tascam with just the two of
My
us.
Tascam.
Your Tascam.
You guys had forever. I forgot I ever owned
Yeah.
it.
Um, yeah, it like finally started working randomly, and so we recorded like 4 songs, and then some guy I knew from high school heard that we were recording. He's like, "Hey, you interested in like buying some music gear?" I was like, yeah, whatever. Do you have a mixer? Something better." So I bought the mixer from him, and yeah, me and Kenny got together, and in a week, we wrote and recorded the second Hot Rush album, Hot Rush 2, during the summer in my parents' garage. So it was 120 plus degrees up there. Should have died. And we gave out CDRs of that to basically our old group of friends who had liked the original Hot Rush. We just kind of didn't really say anything about it, handed them this CD with some cool artwork that was a picture of the original band. And they had some all new Hot Rush songs. So we started recording more the next week, wrote 3 or 4 songs, and then we got these other 2 guys, Davey Wojcik and Andy Brack. Andy was a noise guy, and we'd actually met him at the West Side Arts Walk randomly, and he was doing a noise set. And then a few days later, he was at a show we played at Evergreen State College. So our drummer like met him, and then he was hanging out with us, and he became our biggest fan. So then he was part of the band. So we recorded Hot Rush 3 with him and this Davey guy. We released that a few weeks later. We were recording stuff really quickly. We would get the songs, we'd start writing, figuring out parts, get the songs down enough that we could almost play it through, and we'd hit record and record that. So usually the recording of the song was the first time we'd ever played the song all the way through, and then we'd add vocals on later, just to clean it up. Yeah, so hadn't played a show. We were just going to be a recording band only. And then somebody asked us if we wanted to play a show. We're like, we got 3 albums of songs because we've been working on the old songs with Andy and Davey. And so we played a show, played a bunch more shows, recorded 2 more albums with them. We didn't do those as fast, but they're still pretty cool ones. If you listen, it's Hot Rush 3, 4, and 5. So 3 Forever and Plead the Fifth. And those ones are they're pretty fun sounding albums, actually. Like they're really, really loose, kind of crazy.
I haven't heard him
Lots
in
of
a while.
lots of guitar solos. People really liked them, I thought. Um, Yeah, and then Andy moved away, so he was bass player sometimes, drummer sometimes. Him and I would our when we play live, our sets we would switch instruments through parts of it. So I would
Mhm.
drum half the set, play guitar or bass the other. So there's a lot of like people switching instruments, which was pretty cool and fun. That was always a favorite thing of mine. Seeing when you go see a band, and you notice the drummer, a guitarist, and whatever, and you go see another band a few weeks or months later, and those people from that band are playing like the opposite instrument, like the guitarist is playing drums in some other band or whatever. I always thought those people were the coolest people ever, uh, which is why I started on guitar, then learned drums eventually. I wanted to be cool too, I guess. But, so moving forward, um, Andy moved away. Him and Davey were kind of a package deal in the band a little bit. Um, so and or Davey did some other stuff with other bands. We jammed with him a little. We were kind of trying to figure out a lineup. Then we got this guy Spencer, which I think you've met before. He's in a really cool band in Olympia called Generifus. He just released a awesome album that he recorded in Portland. The album's called Rearrangel. Came out on tape a few months ago. I think you'd like it, Rob. Actually, but anyways,
Yeah, check it
he was playing bass for us. Did a few more albums with him. Eventually, so we started planning a tour kind of, and since Spencer was in another band, had a lot going on, he couldn't really do the tour. And our other friend Freddie played the bass. He was in a band called Fabulous Downey Brothers that I mentioned before. Uh, Costume band, kind of like B-52's Devo something or other weird. I was in that band for a show. Kenny was in that band for a year. Um, Maybe that's the prerequisite for Hot Rush now, is that you have to be in Fabulous Downey Brothers at some point. Um, so Freddie took over on bass because we are going to do a tour, and he was able to schedule wise, which Spencer was cool with. It was just a really natural, good transition. Um, so we did a few albums with Freddie, did 2 tours up and down the West Coast, which was some of the most fun uh, vacations I've ever had. We slept in the van at rest areas, just did it as cheaply as we possibly could. Um, Kenny and I were talking the other day that about like for shows like the most money we've made, not much. We don't care about making show money or whatever, but um, I think the tours we made like total like maybe $500, but we spent zero on like staying places, and we were all on vacation time from work, and the minivan we rented cost like
Yeah.
$250 for the 2 weeks. So we were somehow cash positive, even though it was the laziest, like unpromoted tour ever. Um, so Freddie's in the band. We do 2 tours, uh, couple albums, 3. Hot Rush, the Tacoma album. That was a kind of a weird one. I didn't really know. I was going through a weird time, about to get married, bought a house, recording in a new spot. It was We were really lazy about the production, so Kenny produced a few of the songs. So there's 2 like distinctly different sounds of songs. One sounds good, other sounds bad. If you listen to it, you'll know which ones Kenny produced and which ones I did. Um,
Shots fired.
yeah. Then the pandemic happened. We shut down for a year and a half or something. It was the longest I hadn't played music with Kenny since we started playing music when we were 16 or 17. Um, Eventually things get better. Everybody gets the vaccines. We start practicing again, record our most recent album, Glue. I think you've heard that one. I don't know if you have. You should if you haven't.
I think I did. Was it? How long ago was it?
Like a year ago, came out.
I think.
Maybe less, a year and a half ago.
I think you sent me the link for it, and I
I
think
sent
I.
it to you.
Yeah.
yeah, we recorded that. That was the first one that I did all the mixing on the computer instead, because I used to just sit at like the mixing, like with the sliders in
Hmm.
like real time mixing. So that was the first one I was really like looking at the dual monitors that I have here, and like editing stuff and like watching TV on one screen and getting crazy drunk while I was doing all of it. Um, so started playing shows again. Um, Tacoma Porch Fest was our return show after the pandemic, which was awesome. It's a fun event that's happening in a few weeks. If you're not doing anything, August 5th, probably should show up to it. Um,
I
I'll tell you about it after or
think I'll be
whatever.
working.
Yeah,
What
probably.
day of the week is that? A Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, because you're not off on weekends till like 2050 or something, right?
I used up all my PTO when I got injured.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So we started doing more shows and cooler shows. Then I have a second kid. So we had to shut down for a little bit. And so during that time, bass player Freddie got a different job. So his schedule flipped over.
you have a
So
second
he,
what?
second child, Rob.
When did you have a second child? Have we not talked in a while? Dude, how do I not know this?
April. I told you we were pregnant
When did you tell me that?
before April.
Dude, I do not believe you. I'm gonna
Maybe,
look.
maybe I didn't. I don't know.
I don't think you told
I'll,
me. I
I'll
don't know.
send you pictures or something. Anyways, uh, Rob's trying to get me off topic here. Yeah, Freddie's work schedule changed. Had to leave the band, so we are a two piece currently, just like we originally were. We played this past weekend in Olympia at the Lake Fair. We used our local H guitar,
Mm-hmm.
the one with uh, so it has a bass pickup in it that picks up the A and the E string, has a separate input. It goes to a bass amp through a octave pedal, sounds like a bass. Um, one of the pedals came unplugged during the show, so we couldn't figure it out. So we played it just like a guitar and drums. But yeah, we're gonna start working on another album because we are constantly working on albums and writing new songs. So yeah, that's the Hot Rush story.
You know,
There's a little
uh,
rant there, I guess, or ramble or whatever.
the last time I came up there and
You
hung
know,
out.
you were the first one not in the band to see us play. The practice that you came to in my parents' garage
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
when you sat in the corner drinking a 40. That was
Was I drinking 40s then?
yeah. Yeah, you were the first one to see us in action, and then we played a song with you, but you were like too drunk to stand.
Yeah, I remember you were like, you
And it
said
was in three
something
four,
nice
so it
like,
was
"Oh,
weird.
you got to hear Rob's play some stuff." And like I was all like,
And you're
"I'll
like,
play some
no,
stuff." And it was
no.
so bad because I could not play anything because I was so too drunk. Um no, I was gonna say the last time I came up and saw you, and I think I spent the night in your house and we played like video games and
Yeah,
whatever and played music and
played
stuff.
basketball.
Yeah, and afterwards I had a conversation with my brother and I go, "Dude, I never say this, but I am jealous of Jeremy's life." I never say that about anybody. I'm usually pretty much like, even when my life's going well, like not going well, I'm like, I'd rather be me than anybody else, like, but I was like, God damn, Jeremy plays music, plays basketball all the time. He's got like a beautiful family. He's got like a cool house. I was like,
Yeah,
that guy, man. And it couldn't have happened to a worse person too. It's
I
like,
know, right? Yeah, the cool house was. I don't know how we looked out in this thing. It was one of those ones where we're in Tacoma and we looked at a billion houses, and I saw this one.
it's a
Um,
cool house. I really get
yeah,
like you
yeah,
guys'
we
house.
weren't gonna look at it, um, because none of the pictures on the listing showed the basement. If you can believe that, having seen the basement, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I like the list. It noted that there was a basement, but there was a
It's like a
picture of it.
second house, dude. That basement is
Yeah,
so huge.
the only picture was of the bathroom in the basement and this like weird like concrete box room. That's now the music room. But there was nothing in it then. Yeah, so we show up at this open house. So we looked at some other place that we were interested in. Like, place sucks. I was like, hey, we know about this other one. Let's go check it out. It probably also sucks. And so I went down to the basement, and there's the main. So the house is a brick house. It's from the outside, it looks like a single story, but there is a basement, the entire footprint of the house below it. And so I found the door to the basement and went down there, and there was a room that was as big as the apartment we had been living in before we moved here. So it's like 40 feet long by 20 feet. And then there's uh, 4 other rooms. This one is one of them. And so for some reason, I made the smallest room the music, or the second smallest room the music room. So we have, the drum set, bunch of guitar amps, all the recording stuff, the mixer. My wife built a chalkboard as a Christmas present for me on the wall, so we can write.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's like 50 set lists on it, just random words, all this other stuff. But yeah, we looked out, finding this place and actually getting accepted for it. We built stuff like this shelf here, bookshelf. But yeah, it's the basement I always wanted. I always wanted like a totally like nondescript like shack on top of a just gigantic basement. Like that'd be cool just living underground completely.
There's a certain value of just like having space, especially when you have like multiple hobbies. It's like, there was a, do you remember the house I rented? I think the one you came and, oh, when was it?
That Vancouver one?
The Vancouver one you came to when, God, these
You
stories
got
are so
sick.
horrible. Yeah, I got sick and it was food poisoning. It was not alcohol. It was like, uh, yeah, that house was like from the outside, it looked like just a one, like a one-story house, like maybe with 2 bedrooms or something. And you
That one
go
had a
in,
really cool basement too, if I
yeah,
remember.
it had 2 bedrooms, a laundry room, and like a open living room area that we had couches down there and put a drum set and
Yeah,
um
I wish I wasn't using the PC right now. So if I had my laptop, I could walk around the basement, because I have a little office in that hallway between the music room and the rest of the house.
mhm.
We built shelves, and so I put all my junk on it, like DVD collection, cassette tapes. Um, I have a CRT TV in there that I
Mhm.
got for free, and I hooked up a hard drive to it, and so I have like all of the TV wrestling from 1989 through like 96 on it, like all the weekend shows.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and all of it originally taped on the VHS, so it's the right aspect ratio and has like original commercials. That's been my hobby lately, is finding like old television, and mostly like commercials. I'm trying to find the 96 NBA finals so I can watch the Sonics release like game 5 where
I
they
was
beat the
trying to look
Bulls.
I was trying to look for this is a while back, but I was trying to look for decent recordings of the 92 NBA finals.
Let me
Like
write that
Blazer.
down. I could probably find it for you because
It's
that
just
stuff's.
it's just finding decent recordings because it's like so much of it is like super fuzzy.
Oh
Like,
yeah, we'll just get like a CRT TV, and then it's just looks like 1992.
um, yeah. And the other series I was trying to look up was the 99 or the 2000 Western Conference Finals.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I watch a lot of like old basketball.
yeah.
Um,
I just have wrestling and the Beavis and Butthead. All those episodes are on there. I'm trying to find some other ones. I actually maxed out our download through Xfinity, like the amount of data you're allowed to download in a month, which is some stupid amount, like 2 terabytes. I maxed that out for like 3 months in a row with all this stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, it's just a maniac. Yeah, listen to cassette tapes down there, and I'm thinking of starting a cassette tape label.
nice.
That's what all the cool people are doing nowadays. So
Um,
maybe when me and you record an album finally, we'll release it on that.
yeah, that's another thing I was wanting to bring up to you. We got to plan something. I got to come up there and
Yeah,
try
yeah.
to record. I don't know, man. I don't know how it is that like, when I first met you in 2005, I was showing you all this stuff I wrote, and here we are, 2023, and I still have no real recordings. I have some shitty YouTube videos, and then
Yeah, you have there's not many of like full band recordings. I know we did a when I first moved here, I think we did some recordings. There's like 4 or 5 songs, but they weren't mixed or anything.
one
I
of
might
my. Go ahead, sorry.
I might have those somewhere. And there's always that song that you wrote, but I taught you after you forgot it.
Dude, I was right.
I have like 5 recordings of that song.
I have
That's a good
like
one.
yeah, dude, there was eras where I was just like writing stuff and just putting them on tapes and just like write something else, put it on tapes and stuff, and I'd forget about stuff. And
Yeah, that's good.
that's one of the funnier stories I have is that you
Keep
were
all the tape
telling me,
about a song you wrote, and
and I was like, "What?" And you were trying to explain it to me, and
I played it for you.
well, and what it actually was it was a song I wrote in 2002 that was a slow song, and I was fucking around with that song, and I sped it up and changed part of the vocal melody. Like I kept the
I thought
same
you
chord.
sped it up when I was playing drums because I couldn't play slow.
Was that it?
Yeah.
I just remember like I
And you kept trying to play it the original way. I'm like, no, that sucks. Like, play it this way.
I just I remember like when you showed me the tape, I was like, oh fuck yeah, okay, I remember it now.
Yeah.
It's I have a similar story. Well, not the same, but like my friend
I think I
Josh.
still have that tape somewhere.
Yeah, well, dude, I
It
lost
was,
most of my tapes,
it was
man.
like, yeah, it was like
My
an hour and a
Moogs.
half of us playing with me on drums. It's, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know where that one is.
There was a
I'll just
friend.
release that.
There was a friend that I was living with in 2010, or no, I wasn't living with him at the time. I was visiting him. It must have been like 2009 or something like that. And I was no, yeah, I was living with him for a brief period of time. But anyway, like I was playing something on guitar, and then I was like, "Hey, dude, this sounds really familiar to me." And I was playing it, and I would kind of sing it a little bit, and I kept saying to him, like, "What does that sound like?" I go, "That sounds familiar." I go, "Dude, and I go, "Who am I ripping off?" I go, "This is ridiculous." And I was like playing it, and I go, "I feel like I'm ripping somebody off." And then he was looking at me with this like irritated look on his face. And I was like, what? And I kept thinking like it must be a really obvious song I'm ripping off, and he's like pissed. And finally he asked me if I was fucking with him, and I was like, no, I'm not fucking with you. Like who did I like who did that? And he pulls out this tape I had given him years prior of stuff I wrote. It
Yeah.
was my own song that I had forgot about and then just fucking refound it. And he thought I was messing with him. I go, oh shit, I forgot about that song. Um,
Yeah. I wish you still had that task game. I know I messaged you like a year ago about that.
I sold it when I moved to Henderson, Nevada in 2011. I sold like
Yeah.
a lot of my equipment then because I thought I was gonna be restarting my life down there and did not restart my life down there.
Yeah,
Um,
because I was listening to a bunch of like early '80s Los Angeles area punk music, and so it was all recorded on like the shittiest cassette recordings. And I had this idea that I would do an album that was just made on a Tascam 8 track. I always have these ideas for albums. I'm like, okay, the next Hot Rush album is going to be. I have this idea, like have it all planned out, and then we start recording songs. Like, nah, whatever. No.
what if you write something that's catchy that has a good hook and good melody to it,
Yeah, it
even
doesn't matter
even
how it's
even if
recorded.
it's a yeah, even if it's like a shittier recording, like you're gonna like that melody.
Yeah,
Um, and like me and my brother have had conversations about that where we kind of want to get really shitty guitars and like just fuck around and just have like recording equipment where it like I don't know, it just has a I think there's more of an aim at something sounding raw rather
yeah,
than like overproduced.
yeah. A lot of times when before we start albums, or while we're recording them, so not necessarily mixing or whatever, I'll hear some album where I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I like. That's what I want to go for. Um, so I don't really know what the next one's gonna sound like. I had this idea that it was going to kind of be like a Beastie Boys album, like Ill Communication or License to Ill, where it starts off with like the first 7 or 8 tracks. You have like half of those are like hit style songs, real catchy, and then just gets off into like weird experimental jams the rest of it. And you have like 24 total tracks, bunch of like random cover things and stuff like that. It's still something I want to try to do someday, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I kind of want to get to a point where I'm hoping to buy a house next year. And if I'm able to do that, I really want to just set up space to just like basically be like a reclusive, like um weirdo that's working on music all the time. Um
Yeah.
I got the
It,
reclusive and weirdo part already down, but I need to get the music part down.
and it's pretty easy to get um it's like the type of recording setup I've had where you just get like the mixer type of thing, you get it set and then you just hit record and you can record whatever.
uh
There's a lot of you can take a lot of the actual like guesswork stuff out of it. So I'll
yeah,
help you out once you once you get that set up.
yeah, definitely. As soon as oh, dude, I gotta get an actual recording done. Like something
Yeah.
decently recorded. It doesn't have to be great, but
I know
just
we've had a
something.
few times planned where you were gonna come up or to wherever I was living and record, but it's like slightly fallen through. But one of these
Yeah,
times it'll happen. So I think we could crank out a whole album in a day.
yeah, I
Easy.
think there's enough material.
Yeah.
I think I need to really polish up like the last 10% of a lot of this shit where I have the lyrics and have everything completely, done.
Yeah, you just need to show up with like 30 songs and then I'll tell you which ones are bad. And then the ones that remain, I will like restructure them to make them good. And then
Okay, okay.
and then it'll probably just end up me playing every instrument and you just singing. And then
You
it'll be
remember
good.
we, I really wish we would have done the idea years ago where we dress up as
A bee and a
plants.
flower.
Yeah, dude, like a bee and a flower.
There's still
And
time. Still
yeah,
time.
we were gonna play like some stuff that I wrote that was like more sarcastic, and then do covers of like
My girl.
My Girl. Was it
Bad Moon Rising.
Bad Moon Rising? Wasn't Dead Flowers one of them too?
Probably.
Um, you know what I was listening to the other day that I got hooked on that I think would be kind of in that same vein of that kind of style we were doing. There's Crimson and Clover.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think that would be pretty good too. What else was it we were talking about? I feel like there's a couple more. I think there was like six or something, but and then like six of whatever stuff I wrote.
Yeah.
Um,
Garden of Hate. That was
oh my
probably
god, dude!
years.
One of the most epic things is not epic, but like
I like naming Rob's songs.
you rename like this stuff I write. Like I'll
Like
write
half your
something that
songs.
is like has like emotional context to it, and then you come up with like
Well,
some
you say the name like, nah, that sucks. You should call it this. And then you're
yeah.
just like, come on, man.
Um,
This song means a lot to me. I think Garden of Hate was one of those. That name kind of stuck though, I think.
um, I
Maybe.
mean,
Maybe just for me.
there's a couple of them. Oh shit. Um, there's a couple that I've kind of tweaked, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better with like lining up my vocals at certain parts
Yeah.
and like filling in gaps in the songs. Um, yeah, even watching the shitty YouTube videos I have, I'm like, it's cringy for me because I feel like I've gotten, even though I don't play that often, I've gotten a lot better at like how I play it, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, another question I had is like, um, similar topic, but like, do you remember all the concerts we've been to?
Yeah.
What was it? How many has it been like?
Uh, so we went to there was that Mudhoney show at El Corazon
It's 2007. Yeah.
where Zeke opened.
Yeah.
Zeke rules. They've been a huge influence on how we uh, structure our set.
Hmm.
If you remember, they did this thing where they'll play like batches of songs, like
Yeah.
4 songs, and there's barely any breaks between because they only play like two different speeds. It's like super fast, like punk beat, and like the standard like. Um, so we've been so our sets now there'll be like no more than 3 seconds between songs.
Mm-hmm.
Love that show. That was a really fun one. We went to Pearl Jam in Portland, obviously at the theater because we got in a car accident. Garrett,
2006. Yeah, car
yeah,
accident.
Garrick was driving. I saw the car coming, but I was drinking a Gatorade, so I couldn't shout. Then we saw Local H at is that Dante's?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I got punched in the face by a girl during that. Do you remember that? Because
Was
there was a drunk dude like holding his beer and like falling all over everybody, and he like fell on this girl, and then she turned around, but the guy had fallen off to the side, and I was the first person she saw.
so
And so
that
she,
was you.
yeah, she punched me in the face, and then like some people she was with were like no, it wasn't him. And so the rest of the set just kind of like sat in the corner, like, God damn it, what the hell?
Didn't you talk? Didn't we talk to Scott Lucas briefly afterwards when he was selling
Yeah,
shirts?
yeah,
You told him you were going to buy him Buffalo Trace at the Seattle show.
I did.
He apologized for sucking. He goes, "Yeah, sorry guys, sorry the show tonight sucked."
They were really good that
They
day.
were really fucking good, dude. I really like Local H. You're
Yeah,
one of the
they
only friends I've known. I can't. Did you like Local H before you met me, or
so I had just so to finish up the concerts, we saw Soundgarden as well.
oh
Okay,
fuck yeah?
so uh, and then
When I passed
several
out for Queens of the Stone
during
Age.
yeah Queens of the Stone Age. But yeah, back to and we probably saw some like stuff in downtown Olympia too, but
Didn't
just
we see Pearl
random bands.
Jam for the Back Spacer tour?
Yes,
Yeah, like you
when they
got us
played No
tickets.
Way for the
Oh
first
yeah,
time
yeah,
in
yeah.
like 10 years.
Was that Seattle or Portland?
Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, back to Local H. They I had heard about them on Nirvana bootleg recording message boards, and I think I found listened to some of their stuff, and it like didn't quite. I didn't give it enough time. I gave it like 5 minutes. I was like, go to. I think I got distracted or whatever, and I mentioned them to you because they had played a show on Halloween, like dressed as Nirvana and played a whole Nirvana set.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh yeah, I got some of their albums, and so we put them in and listened to them. So I wasn't necessarily a fan before then, but like
Because
right after that, I bought two or three of their albums and then got hooked.
I remember I really liked As Good as Dead and Pack Up the Cats,
Yeah,
and then I kind of got out of them. I
Back
just
Up the
hadn't
Cats
really.
is awesome. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite albums of all time. That's another album that style that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, those two albums, I use those as templates for track listings.
What do you mean?
That makes sense. So As Good as Dead, you start off with a kind of really short bullshit song, but you also repeat that song at the end of the track listing as the full song. So it's just a snippet of one of the songs. And then second song, you kind of get a little
Is
more catchy.
isn't
That it's a
lead
concept album actually. That one.
um isn't Lead Pipe Cinch and the kids aren't all right, or what is not the kids
Lead
are
Pipe Cinch is what All the Kids Are Right originally
all the
was.
kids are right? That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude,
Um,
it's a short
and
song,
then
but Lead Pipe Cinch. I used to listen to that a lot. It's such a.
yeah, Pack Up the Cats. That album, you start off heavy, and then the third song you do your bullshit one.
Mhm.
Um, or kind of you just do a random deal. There's is like cats meowing and the singer singing, and then you repeat that one at the end. So that's the secret to Hot Rush albums is those two albums.
I think you got at some point, like later on, you got a Local H live album, and I listened to it at your place, and I was like, "That's fucking good." And I heard the song like
Everyone Alive. It's
dude,
Live with Five album.
yeah, but California songs or whatever.
Yeah.
And just the whole album was awesome. And I was like, dude, I gotta find out what that's on. And I got
PJ Souls.
yeah,
That's
whatever
probably
happened to
the
PJ Souls.
that's probably the best album, I think.
That's my yeah. That's one of my
Because
that's my favorite local age.
that was so the As Good as Dead and Pack of the Cats were concept albums, and then PJ Souls also was, but it was one that was super, I guess, not accessible, so to speak. Like you have to
Yeah.
listen to it like 6 times, and then you get it, and then it's your favorite album.
Um.
And then their newest one is kind of does that a little. That one was really good, I thought too. It's the one I sent you.
There was the individual tracks. I need to rebuy it, but 12 Angry Months. There was
Yeah,
some individual tracks I really liked off that, but I haven't my copy like fucking broke like or got super scratched years ago. Scratched. Fucking that tells you what
yeah,
I
that
do.
was the album they had just released when we saw them
Yeah.
a few times.
I saw them a couple years ago. It was kind of a I wish I didn't drink that much at the show, but I saw it was who was it? It was Everclear, Marcy Playground, and Local H.
Yeah, that's I saw them around that I was 2013 or 14 when that was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw them in Seattle. I got to the show late, and the door guy let me in for free because I had a wrestling shirt on.
Nice, nice.
Um, yeah, I haven't seen them in a
You c- so
couple
like
years now, but
I guess I keep completely bypassed saying this, but like when you talk about the Hot Rush, dude, I really like the Hot Rush. I've bragged to friends of mine that like about you guys. Like like I hear and this is gonna probably sound like pretty shitty to say, but like some musicians I've known, you know, that like people show you stuff and you're like, yeah, that's cool. You know, you say you like it or whatever, you're being supportive. But a lot of the times I'm not really into it. Like
yeah,
it's not my cup of tea. But I remember like when those early like Hot Rush records, when you were like burning me CDs, I was like, dude, this is really fucking good. Like I thought you guys should have had a what record contract, but you guys weren't trying to. You guys weren't trying to. You guys
no.
are about the actual music.
So funny thing, during the Hot Rush 3, 4, and 5 years, I was working for the owner of a record label. Actually, I wasn't working for the record label, which was a guy that lives on my parents' street that owns Sympathy for the Record Industry, that signed or found the White Stripes, Hole, Rock from the Crypt, a bunch of other bands. Um, yeah, I was working. He was I was I'm had met the guy when I worked at the store, so I kind of we didn't talk about music or anything, but I knew who it was, and he was walking down the road, or no, he was I was walking down the road at my parents' house. I like parked my car in a weird spot, and so I was carrying a guitar amp back to the garage, and he drove by and he's like, "Hey, do you want to help me move a piano?" I was like, "Okay," and so I
Do
just
you
like
want to? Yeah.
yeah, I just like hopped into the car with a stranger, and then yeah, we ended up talking for a while, and then just talked about music. He's like, "Hey, do you need like any work or anything?" So because I was working at the Children's Museum then, which didn't pay me anything, and so I started working for him, moving albums around. Because he had a garage. He lived in like this mansion type place on the water in Olympia, and uh, so it started out as just moving boxes of albums from this old garage into his basement, where his like the storage room for the album or the for the record label was. Um, and then eventually just organizing stuff and just a lot of moving things around because he's a crazy collector person. But during that time, we were talking about music a bunch, and he would talk about how, um, like advice, like oh, bands always just want to record, and you really make money going on tour and doing all that. And he was asking me, we were just like talking about music, and I was like, yeah, we're doing albums. We just give our stuff away. It's cool, whatever. Like I think all of us had other jobs and didn't really think we are gonna ever make anything of that. Um, and then he was like, "I want." he really liked my just like theories about spreading music around. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like we sometimes make money on shows. That's cool. Like I don't think we make much. I'd rather people hear it than get money from them trying to hear it. So he's like, how can I like help you out here? I was like, well, we're because I mentioned we had finished recording, which was Hot Rush 5, and I was like, yeah, well, he was asking how we like distribute stuff. He was like, is it through these different things online? Like, no, I just burn a bunch of CDRs and then get some jewel cases and go to the print shop and print out
That's how
the
I would
artwork
want to
stuff.
do it. That's
Yeah,
exactly
the
how I
artwork
would
stuff I
want to do it.
design, and then I bring a big bag of CDs to the shows and give them away. And if people want to give me money for them, they can do that too. And he's like, okay, jewel cases cost a lot. Do you want some? I was like, yeah, sure. And so he gave me like 3 boxes of some band CDs. He's like, okay, you can just throw away the CDs because these are never going to sell,
That's
and just
funny.
take the jewel cases. Uh, and he's like, you can tell people you're like affiliated with this label if you want, but I don't think you care. I was like, no, I don't care. So, but we were peripherally affiliated with them, and I think we had K Records might have had interest in us once, but they thought we were part of that album, that record label. So,
Oh,
but I think their way was really like scammy. They just wanted us to record at their studio and pay them a bunch to record, and then they'd release it. So
is that K Records?
yeah, I think I think you can actually make money with them if you like record on your own and then have them distribute it. But what's the point if we're recording and just giving stuff away anyway?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, now we last few albums we've been making tapes. We sell those, or if people are like, "Can I have this?" We say yes. So
You,
yeah,
you know, whenever I've often had this thought about like distributing music that so like I think you have two different like avenues. You have people that are artists that are wanting to put out their expression, and then you have people that are entertainers that are trying to entertain to make money.
yeah,
Um, like I've always had more interest in just like getting what I'm writing to sound how I want it to sound, and
yeah,
have it be the story or the melody I'm trying to push. Um, I've never really thought of like trying to make money off of it.
yeah,
The only reason I could think of to be like, okay, I need to make money off this is if it bought me more time to work on art. That's the
yeah,
only thing. You know what I'm saying? Because like
mm,
working a lot, working whatever job, jobs suck. But if I could, make enough money off of it to focus more time on it, that would be my motivation.
yeah,
Um, but it would have to be under like like the conditions that I want to do it. I don't want to like. I remember having like people tell me like, oh, like do it this way or do it that way, and I'm really stubborn about it. Where I'm like,
yeah. And it's
I hate advertising. I
yeah.
absolutely hate
Oh god,
advertising.
that's the worst. For we're playing a show next month with the guy that was on Adult Swim, David Lee Bahart. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you know who he is. He's just like a crazy person that's been on public access.
Mm-hmm.
He was sending us stuff to promote. He's like, oh, promote this. We're like, we don't even promote ourselves. Like, where are we gonna help promote somebody else? Like, if you want, I don't know, send to the venue or something. I don't think we're gonna do that. But yeah, regarding music and distributing it, uh, things have changed so much. It's I mean, it's a lot easier to get music out there if you want. Like we just throw it online for free because who cares? I mean, if people want to listen to it, that's cool. If they want to cover it, that's cool too. If they want to give us some money, also cool. Um,
Do you ever like so like when I first as a teenager got into music, it was like it was after vinyl was popular, so it was like more like CDs were popular. And I
yeah,
remember
it was
buying
CDs and the late end of tapes.
Yeah, buying the CD, having the booklet to read through, flip through, having it like as a product, you're like listening
Yeah,
to the whole thing. You're just kind of, and whenever I think of trying to put something out myself, I don't ever want to just put it online because I
yeah,
feel like it's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna just put the audio online and then people are gonna just thumb through to what they want to hear, what they like, what they don't like,
yeah.
and
That's why whenever we've released stuff online, we've also, even when that's all we were doing was putting
mhm.
stuff online, like Hot Rush 2 and 3. I still designed the album cover and like back
Yeah,
on
that's
like the
pretty
CD
cool.
size thing. And then since we've transitioned to doing tapes more, that's physical media. Um, I think I heard like, we work on the whole like J card deal for that, and I have some friends that are friend in Portland, the guy that was in Hot Rush before, Andy, the noise guy. He's doing his group Leather Jester. They're releasing tapes, and they're just the coolest looking thing now. Like just uh, and then Spencer with Generifus also did released a tape with this really cool. So instead of like the normal case, it's a kind of a cardstock like sleeve for the tape, but it's screen printed with the artwork. So people are more so turning that uh, the tape covers and album covers into art along uh, with the music. So I think that's really cool. I Now that I'm like old as shit now, I
Give me
love
one
seeing what my
sec.
friends are still doing cool. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I just want to text my roommate so that if I'm too loud to let me know.
Yeah,
Just because I don't know what time he goes to bed.
no,
Trying to be
I'll
a
finish
polite
that thought
roommate.
once you're done.
I'm a very kind individual. Um, okay, sorry. Um,
No worries. No, but what I was gonna say is, yeah, now that getting older, it's really exciting to see my friends doing really cool things with music and art with music and albums and just producing a really high quality total package of a tape or album or release or whatever. And it's yeah, it's great. I love it. I mean, just people doing it because it's fun, not because they think they're gonna become a millionaire or something. Love it.
yeah, it was, I don't know, it was always a kind of like a pet peeve of mine when I would like, because I mean, I ran into some people back in the day that were like, would have the attitude. Um,
Careerists or something.
yeah, just be like kind of snotty or kind of like I remember, like I'm not gonna say band names or whatnot, but like I remember like one band. I actually wasn't into the band at all, but it was like a friend's band, and I saw them, and I was trying to be supportive, and and afterwards I was like, thanking them for the show, and then offering to
Yeah.
help move equipment and stuff, and they just were just real fucking snotty with me, and just um, and another time I remember at a show like talking to somebody and just really brushed me off.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like not that everything has to be like kumbaya amongst musicians, but like I just hate the arrogance. Sometimes it's like people are more attached to the like the idea of a rock star, the idea of
Yeah.
somebody popular, the idea of um I don't know. It's just like
Yeah. I mean, just getting older, playing music, still being in the the punk scene in Olympia. I
You
guess.
remember those old Craigslist ads you used to find, and you didn't you apply for some band and they said you didn't look the part?
Yeah, yeah.
You
Welcome.
you used to have like funny stories about Craigslist ads for bands.
Yeah, and let me get back to that. But yeah, still being in the scene, I really take pride in just helping people out. Doing that, it's really like telling
That's cool.
stories of going on. I mean, we've done like the two shittiest tours in history, but they were the most fun tours, and it's really just about hanging out with your friends and
Yeah,
doing something fun. So that's what we've been able to do, and what we're still doing. What like me and Kenny said, we were riding. I was driving him back to his car after the last time we played in Tacoma. They parked like 3 miles from the venue for some reason. I was saying like we played with a band that was like in their 50s, like some old dudes, and I was like, yeah, remember when we used to see like people our age and think they were old as hell? It's like, yeah, we're those guys now, but it's pretty cool too. Like I think we're gonna be doing this forever. Um, and then when one of us dies, we got to keep doing it. Just do a few tribute shows for the other one. So
I I think it's
um,
pretty cool that Kenny still does his show. Like
yeah,
dude, it always pops up when I'm on YouTube like live, and I'm like, your
I was
daily
on
hour
it.
with
I
me.
was on it Sunday episode 4,658, I think.
Jeez, yeah, it's some dedication.
But yeah, there was like so you were talking about the arrogance and all that in musicians and whatnot, and I think it's pointless. Like it's best just to have fun.
Yeah,
Because I think bands like that never last long, and um, it just doesn't seem fulfilling or whatever. Like if you don't like the people you're in a band with, then don't be in that band. If you want to be in a fun band, find people you like to be with. So
um, like so I guess a quick switch to it. What got you into music? Was there a band specifically, or was it just?
uh, I think I saw the so my high school used to have a battle of the bands,
Hmm.
and I went to that, which I had a lot of my friends played music. Not even like the people I've been in bands with recently, just other people. So it's kind of they have like guitar magazines and stuff like that. And I saw the Battle of the Bands. Thought it was the coolest thing ever. Um, my taste in music kind of switched from stuff that was on the radio or Blink 182 or whatever. I still like them. Well, not their live shows or new albums, but kind of switched to more uh, Seattle area stuff, grunge, and then punk music and whatnot. Uh, and then yeah, there was a guitar at my house growing up that my mom bought at a garage sale, I think before I was born, and it had like two strings on it. And then one of my cousins borrowed it and restrung it, and then I took it back and then started learning how to play guitar. But when yeah, so my friend and I started playing, trying to figure out Nirvana songs on it. Obviously, "Come as You Are" and "All Apologies." Um, so I
Yeah,
got
not something in the way.
no, even though that's probably the easiest one.
Yeah, yeah.
But we started figuring out those songs on the guitar. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start playing guitar now. And then one of my cousins visited and told me the guitar was completely out of tune and tuned it, and I had to relearn how to play the songs because it was so out of tune. So,
So you were like playing by ear, pretty much, just figuring it out, and
yeah,
then
at
once
first,
it
and then
got
I found like
tuned, you were like, shit.
yeah, then I found guitar tabs, and then that kind of opened up a whole new world of how to figure things out because I wasn't that good at playing by ear. That really helped me out. And then eventually, Hot Rush started practicing at my parents' house where I lived in the garage. We live out in the middle of nowhere, so there was a drum set there, and that's how I started on drums, and then I started playing at your place a bunch, jamming out with you. which I think is the best way to learn drums is playing with people. Because I really hate drummers that don't or can't play to the music. For instance, Travis Barker of Blink-182, I think he's the worst drummer because he doesn't play to the music. He kind of does his own thing, and it's just
Uh,
terrible. But yeah,
it's interesting when I first started playing guitar. I think I was like 15. I was horrible. Um, and I kind of like eventually learned, how to play some Nirvana songs or a couple other things, and started trying to write my own stuff once I knew enough chords.
yeah,
But I've never really properly learned guitar, and that's something I need to really sit down and because you'll tell me something like, "Oh, this is in 3/4," and I'm like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about," or this is
oh no, don't listen
uh,
to me when I say that. 3/4 sucks.
or the chord of whatever, and or the key of whatever, and I don't know what that is. Like I really don't know. I just um,
Yeah,
but I remember trying to be more
you just know if
technical.
it sounds cool or not, or sounds
Yeah,
good or cool.
and
That's I think that's more important than knowing all the technical stuff. I mean, you don't want to be a metal dude or into Rush or whatever.
there's a friend at work that we were talking music, and I go, "Oh yeah, you like classic rock?" He goes, "Oh yeah, yeah." And what's your favorite band? He goes, "Rush," and I was like, "Oh." Like I'm not gonna shit talk, but I was like, "Oh, okay." And um,
Yeah, so I saw a while back. It's my I was for some reason I was watching videos of like children playing drums because my son likes music.
uh-huh.
Will, that's 2.5, sometimes likes music. He likes hitting the
He's two
drums
and a
with
half already. Jeez.
yeah. But I was watching videos of kids playing music, and it's all like kids playing shitty metal songs and whatever. But there was one kid playing the Rush song, Tom Sawyer,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, this kid's playing it wrong because I never really listened to Rush, so it's like this fucking sucks. Like this kid's totally bad. He's probably playing it wrong. And then I listened to the actual song, and the kid was like, he was playing it bad, but he was playing what the song was supposed to be, and I was like, yeah, that's not what I would play. And I was talking about that at band practice, and then I think I ended up playing the song over our PA, and then playing what I thought the drums should be. Then everybody we were just standing there like, yeah, that's probably better anyway. Like half as many notes, just a super straightforward, like Dave Grohl or Bonham style thing, and yeah, less notes the better.
I think I might get an electric drum set soon.
I
Drums are
bought
some.
one. I have one actually.
Do you? Do you,
Yeah,
well, I want to learn.
I bought it so we could have band practice when the kids are asleep
Yeah, that I'm.
because it was
Well,
severely limiting when we could
well,
actually practice.
I'm renting a room in a townhouse right now, so like I want to be able to learn it and practice without like,
Yeah,
you know.
you can find some for pretty cheap. I bought mine from some meth head in Puyallup
So just try to find a method.
for like $120, and it was missing some parts, so it actually ended up costing a little over 200. But it
Yeah,
could
I've
have been
been.
a better deal.
Yeah, I've been
You can
seeing
find
them.
them for pretty cheap.
Um, well, shoot, dude. Is there any more things you want to talk about? I think we're about almost 2 hours into it.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot. I think we
Uh,
could easily do another episode whenever you need to or want to.
Yeah,
I could talk forever.
no, this has been really easy. I think this
Yeah.
might be me and you talking right now might be the easiest episode I've done. Like, no offense to anybody else, but I think because it started off with you telling fucking horrible stories about me, or like saying stuff that I felt like I needed to explain the whole story. And so early on, like
Yeah, we didn't
any
even dive into like music I'm listening to or anything. I think I over the phone the other day I talked about that briefly and gave you like a little preview, but that's the thing we could hit on next time.
yeah, uh, you know, us talking about how like like your band doesn't try to promote themselves and they're just about the music.
Yeah.
This whole idea of me doing this like little show thing wasn't even like my idea. It was just
Yeah.
something that, huh?
It's fun though.
Well, the more, so it first came about with actually my boss that I'm friends with. He had said something to me probably like 3 years ago. He was like, dude, you should start like a podcast or something. And he was talking about how he can get into long conversations with me and he's always interested in the stuff I say and
Yeah.
whatever. And then I just kind of brushed it off. And then I had a couple other friends that were like work for the school district randomly bring it up. And then I had a friend that was a teacher up in Seattle say the same thing without me connecting any of it. Like I didn't repeat the story, it just was like, and it was probably like the seventh person that said something to me in like a 2 year span or year and a half span was like, dude, you should do something like because your stories and you have so many different topics you like to talk about. He goes, it would be like interesting. He
Yeah.
was
Just to
telling me,
get them on record of some kind. I think that's a awesome thing to do.
yeah, and so like I started this up, but I'm 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 being very lazy about it. I'm not. I'm just doing. I'm recording over Zoom
Hey, hey,
meetings.
hey. In the words of Kenny Ward, it's not about quality, it's about consistency.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Um, but
You know, be be prolific. Be prolific.
well, I tested it out. I kind of wanted to just do a couple like practice ones and just do, I thought it was a way of two birds with one stone. So I got to like kind of introduce friends of mine that I thought were cool and
Yeah.
had good, backstories that I find kind of motivational. And it was practice for me, and if it goes nowhere, at least I have those stories out with like these
Yeah.
cool friends I have. But I've gotten to where I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would. And I
Yeah.
think I'm going to try to get to where I'm doing like one a week or something. Um,
There you
Easier
go.
said than done because I said I was going to start doing one a week at the end of July, end of June, and then we canceled because I had COVID and some other shit. But yeah, almost every person I've done these with liked it enough to where they asked to do another episode in the future, which I think is a good sign. That
Yeah. I'll do another one. I got a lot
but
more topics and horrible stories about you.
it feels like we've talked for 20 minutes, but it's been two
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep them kind of like at around that 2 hour level because I don't think most people even the little views I get, I don't think most people are even watching all the way through. I think they've watched about 10 minutes and probably
Whatever, who cares?
um but yeah, man, thanks for doing this. And
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This is great. I've been
yeah,
wanting
we'll
to
do we'll
do
do another one here
podcasts, but I never want to start my own. So I think
um
I'm a better guest than host. So thanks for having me.
yeah, I did one earlier tonight with a friend of mine and because I hadn't done one in like I want to say like 5 or 6 weeks, I was nervous at the beginning and I felt kind of bad a little bit because me being nervous, I
Yeah.
think made her nervous or like what I'm saying where it's like if I don't know what I'm saying, usually the guest is kind of like looking at me like what am I supposed to say?
Yeah.
But it went well and but yeah, all of these have been fun and yeah, we'll have you on again. I'll have you on again. We'll talk more about music and um that I actually want to do some episodes that are all on like our favorite records or like
Yeah.
all about like um but yeah, thanks again, man. And
Yeah. Maybe let's do that the next one. I
huh?
got let's do that for the next one. Maybe I could be the first one. I got some thoughts.
Cool, cool, cool. Do you want to do like a like top
Whatever.
records or just
Yeah.
what?
We'll just talk about records. We don't even need to pre-qualify it or anything.
Cool, 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 man. And we still need
Record
to get
talk.
a recording done too. Like I'll
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
figure out something. Maybe September or October I can head up there. I I
Yeah.
I told you before I can't get any weekends off, so it's kind of like more pressure on you to try to do it
Yeah.
on a
Well,
weekday.
we'll figure it out.
Um,
Once the kids get a bit older, it'll be a bit easier to do things. So it's kind
cool,
of
cool.
tough at the moment, but uh,
Well, thanks
we will.
again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, man. Have a good night.
You too. All right.
Bye.
Talk to you later.
Later.